Have you ever wondered why someone, even though you've parted ways, even though you've tried to forget, still lives in your mind? They don't knock. They don't ask for permission, but they show up like a familiar ghost, a passing glance, a voice echoing somewhere. An uninvited memory appears, then stays. You don't love them anymore. You don't even know who they are now, but they remain, as if carrying a message you haven't had the courage to hear. Is it obsession, or is there something deeper quietly moving within your soul? Carl Jung, the master of depth psychology, believed that if someone continues to live in your thoughts, the issue is not with them, but with the part of yourself you've never dared to confront. Today, we'll open the door to the mysterious world of the psychological shadow, where the shadow, Anima, animus, and projection will reveal to you that person never really left, because they are the reflection of a part of you you've never wanted to see. And the more you run from them, the more you miss the chance to truly meet yourself. If you've ever felt this way, stay until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover may change the way you see life, and finally free your mind from that invisible grip, once and for all. If this is your first time on the channel, please hit the like button to support us, and subscribe so you won't miss upcoming videos on psychology, life philosophy, and inner strength. The iceberg of the mind. Imagine your mind as a giant iceberg. The part above the water is what you think you understand. Thoughts, memories, emotions, the things you can name. This is the conscious mind, but the massive part hidden beneath the surface. In the cold, dark, mysterious depths, that is the subconscious, the place that truly drives your life. And the bitter truth is, we spend our entire lives being controlled by the part we never understood. Carl Jung called it the invisible driver. You think you're making choices, but in reality, it's the old wounds, the buried memories, and the unhealed emotions whispering commands from behind. When someone keeps appearing in your mind, it's not just that you miss them. It's a signal, a warning from the deep regions of your mind that there's something you haven't seen or refuse to see. Maybe it's a childhood memory locked away, a word you once heard but never fully understood, an emotion that was suppressed, never allowed to exist openly, and then someone appears in your life. A look, a smile, a small gesture, accidentally hitting the exact trigger point, like a key fitting perfectly into a rusty lock that's been sealed for years. And suddenly, they become the messenger of your subconscious. They show up not because you need them, but because you need to understand yourself through them. Jung once said, "What is not made conscious will manifest as fate." In other words, if you don't dive into your subconscious, it will remain there, repeating old patterns, recreating old wounds with new faces. And you'll keep asking, why do I always fall for the same type of person? Why do I always feel empty after every relationship? Why can't I stop thinking about them? The answer lies beneath the surface, not in them, but in you, who never dared to dive deep enough to face it. So instead of trying to forget, try asking yourself, what is this person reminding me of? What memory are they awakening that I once buried? What emotion rises when I think of them? And why the subconscious doesn't speak in words, It speaks in images, emotions, and repetition. If a face keeps appearing in your mind, it's a whisper saying, "Come back. There's something inside you that you've forgotten." Maybe it's emotional neglect from childhood. Maybe it's the feeling of abandonment, of not being understood. Maybe it's the longing to be seen, to be accepted, to be truly loved. The person you're thinking about is just the excuse your mind uses to call you back to yourself. And in the moment you truly listen, you don't just release their image from your mind. You free yourself from the invisible sentence of the past. The greatest thing Jung left us wasn't complex theory. It was the path back to the inner world. He didn't just teach us to observe. He taught us how to move through the darkness and realize that beneath that frozen layer of ice is the untouched treasure. Your true self. The darkness, the concept of the shadow. We often think of darkness as something frightening, an evil force to stay away from. But to Carl Jung, the darkness, also known as the shadow, is not the enemy. It is the guardian of your true soul. The shadow is not out there. It lives inside you. It is the part you don't want to see, the part you've hidden, denied, or even forgotten exists. It is the envy you don't dare admit, the anger you try to suppress, the weakness you reject every time you look in the mirror. It is you, without the mask. And here's the interesting part. The people who keep showing up in your mind may actually be the embodiment of the shadow you've never dared to face. You are drawn to their confidence because you are living in fear. You admire their freedom because you lost your own a long time ago. You feel irritated by their arrogance because deep down, you carry that same arrogance, but never dared to show it. Other people, in truth, are mirrors reflecting your soul, and the shadow is what appears every time you look into that mirror. Jung said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. You cannot grow if you only choose the light. You must walk through the darkness and confront the part of yourself you don't want to admit exists. When someone leaves you restless, haunted, confused, don't rush to run away. Don't block them from your mind too quickly. Instead, ask, what part of myself do I see in them? What are they awakening in me that I've hidden for so long?" That question may sound simple, but it opens a deep, endless doorway within you. And only when you have the courage to walk through it will you realize, I'm not obsessed with them. I'm haunted by myself. This world is full of people who lie to themselves, but it deeply lacks those who are brave enough to face their own darkness and embrace it as a sacred part of who they are. The shadow doesn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be heard, understood, and integrated, because you cannot be whole if you only live in your half-lit self. Remember, every person you meet, every emotion you feel, is a doorway to a part of yourself you've never visited. And sometimes, the person who makes you think the most is the one to whom you owe a conversation not with them, but with yourself. Anima and animus, the inner relationship with symbolic gender. Among the countless reasons why you can't stop thinking about someone, there is one hidden cause you often overlook. It's not about love, and it's not about desire. It's about resonance with an ancient psychological archetype inside you. Carl Jung called it Anima and animus. Anima is the feminine part of a man's soul. Animus is the masculine part of a woman's inner world. But make no mistake, this is not about biological sex. These are symbolic psychological patterns that live in the unconscious mind of all of us. Regardless of gender, they are the primal images of the ideal lover. The inner balance of masculine and feminine energies. You are drawn to someone not because they are perfect, but because they accidentally awaken the part of you that hasn't been lived. A man dreams of a gentle, deep, mysterious woman because the anima within him is calling. A woman seeks a strong, steady, bold man because the animus within her is searching for embodiment. But here lies the danger. We do not love the real person. We love the psychological image we've projected onto them, a shadow named the ideal. You see understanding in their eyes, but that may only be the understanding you desperately wish to have within yourself. You are enchanted by the depth of their emotions, but maybe those are the very feelings you've buried beneath a life of logic. The obsession doesn't come from them. It comes from the incompleteness within you. And when they leave, you don't just lose a person. You feel like you've lost a part of yourself. That's because the anima or animus has not been integrated. You are seeking wholeness through someone else. Instead of completing it within yourself, Carl Jung once said, "The true journey of a human being is to unite with the opposite gender archetype within their own mind." In other words, you don't need someone else to fill what's missing. You need to recognize what they awaken in you and become that. For yourself, that person may only be a mirror reflecting the feminine side you once denied, the masculine side you never allowed to surface, or an instinctual part of you that has never been truly lived. Instead of asking, "Do I love them?" ask, "What part of myself is being awakened through them?" Because sometimes, the person you can't stop thinking about is simply a symbol of the person you are trying to become. Projection. Are you seeing them? Or yourself? Have you ever sat alone and realized that the person you're thinking about isn't really who you imagined them to be, that the feelings you've assigned to them may have never belonged to them at all? Welcome to one of the strangest phenomena in Carl Jung's psychology: projection. You don't simply see others as they are. You are seeing yourself through them, through the parts of you that you haven't accepted, haven't understood, or haven't dared to face. Jung described projection as a psychological movie theater. Your mind is the projector. Other people are the screen. You throw your dreams, fears, desires, wounds, and hopes onto that screen, and then believe that is who they are. You admire someone for their courage that might be the strength inside you that hasn't yet had a voice. You resent someone's arrogance. That could be your own ego, the part of you you've been rejecting. You think they're amazing, special, irreplaceable maybe. You're seeing the idealized version of yourself that your unconscious desperately longs to become. We're drawn to others not because they are perfect, but because they awaken something within us that we cannot yet touch on our own. It might be the freedom you've lost, the risk you've never dared to take, or the softness you were once denied. And then you think you love them. But in truth, you are in love with a sleeping part of your own soul. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. And this doesn't only apply to those you hate. It also applies to those you love, miss, and can't stop thinking about, because love too is a kind of reflection. Missing someone is sometimes not about missing them, but missing the part of yourself that came alive when you were with them. So what should you do? You must pause, not to stop loving, but to pull back the projection and ask one deep question. Am I truly seeing them? Or am I seeing myself through them? And in that moment, you begin to reclaim the pieces of your soul you gave away, bit by bit. You take back the energy you lost when you handed your power to someone else. Because once you understand this truth, no one out there really has the power to make you suffer, thrill, or obsess, except your own mind. You take back the key to your life. You stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" and start asking, "What do I need to learn from this to grow?" And in that exact moment, you not only stop obsessing over someone else, you begin the journey of healing and return to the most complete version of who you are. Synchronicity. When the universe sends you a message, you think of someone, and suddenly, they text you. You dream about them one night, and the next morning, you randomly run into them in a crowd, and you wonder, what the hell is going on? Is it just a coincidence? Or is something bigger trying to speak to you? Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, also known as meaningful coincidence. Unlike cause and effect, synchronicity doesn't happen because one thing leads to another. It happens because there's a hidden layer of meaning connecting your inner world to the outer one. Jung believed the universe has its own language, and synchronicity is the message it sends to those willing to listen. It's not superstition. It's not magic. It's that rare moment when your mind and the world around you speak in unison. When you intensely focus on someone, your unconscious energy begins to shift. You start attracting external events that reflect the stirrings of your inner world. You meet them not because it's random, but because you've already connected with them on a level deeper than awareness. The real question is not, why did this happen, but what am I supposed to learn from this moment? What are they awakening in you? Are you ignoring a path your soul has been craving to walk? Are the emotions you're experiencing asking to be understood? Not avoided synchronicity is the wind chime of the universe. It only rings when you're quiet enough to hear it. And the important thing is this: don't brush it off. Don't dismiss it as chance. Pause, have a conversation with yourself, and ask, why did this person appear at this exact moment? What am I being reminded of in my journey of growth? Because every encounter, no matter how brief, can be an invitation from the universe telling you that you're on the right path, or that you need to turn back and look at a crack you've long ignored. Jung once said, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see it. The question is, are you ready to open your eyes? Because sometimes, when a name suddenly echoes in your mind, it's not there to bring back the past. It's there to awaken a future you are being called toward. Decode and transform. 3 practical steps from Jung. Now you understand. That person is not in your head by accident. It's not because you're weak. And it's not because you haven't moved on. They're there because they symbolize something within you that needs to be seen. But the biggest question still remains, what do I do with this? Carl Jung didn't just offer theory. He offered a path of transformation. If you want to stop being haunted, If you want to reclaim control over your mind, start with 3 steps. Step 1. Reflect. Ask yourself honestly, what do I feel every time I think of this person? Is it longing? Is it emptiness? Is it anger? Or regret? The emotions you experience are the first clues that lead to the buried unconscious. Write them down. No censorship, no judgment. Be honest, because if you don't dare to name your emotions, they will continue to control you from the shadows. Step 2. Analyze. Don't stop at the surface of emotion. Go deeper. Ask, where does this feeling come from? Have I felt this way before? What part of me is this person awakening that I've forgotten? Maybe they remind you of a childhood when you were unseen. Maybe they represent a dream you gave up on, or a wound you've always avoided. This isn't about digging up the past. It's about decoding the meaning behind the obsession that's occupying your mind. Step 3. Act. Knowing is not enough. You must act. If you admire them because they live freely, ask, how can I live more freely? In my own way, if they make you feel unworthy. Don't beg for love from the outside. Start rebuilding self-worth from the inside. Every obsession is an invitation, not to return to them, but to return to yourself. As Carl Jung once wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Take a moment, take a deep breath. Look back at the journey you've just traveled through this video. You are not the same. You are no longer someone tormented by vague memories. You are someone taking their first steps into the most sacred territory of life, the inner world. And if you're ready to continue this journey, please hit like on this video and subscribe so you won't miss the next ones, where we will peel back the layers of illusion and walk step by step toward your strongest, most whole self. It was never about them. It was always about you. In the end, what you need to understand most is not, why does this person keep showing up in my mind? It is, what are they reflecting that I haven't had the courage to face within myself? Maybe they were never your true love. Maybe they were just a melody from the past, a bell ringing against the deepest door of your soul, and every time you remember them, it's not because you haven't forgotten. It's because a part of you is still waiting to be healed. You are not bound by anyone. You're simply being pulled back by the part of you that has not been fully lived. So, stop asking, how do I stop thinking about them? Start asking, what do I need to change within myself so I'm no longer ruled by the past? The freedom you're searching for is not found in forgetting. It is found in understanding yourself, understanding your emotions, understanding exactly why your mind clings to a particular image of someone. Carl Jung never taught you to run from the darkness. He taught you to embrace it, to look directly into it, and to walk through it like a conscious warrior. And when you do that, they will no longer be an obsession. They will become a symbol of your inner growth. You won't need to forget, because you will have understood. And understanding is the most powerful medicine to set your mind free. If something in this video touched something deep within you, if you are on a journey to understand yourself, to overcome pain, and become a stronger version of who you are meant to be, please hit like to help spread this message to others who may be struggling in silence. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because here, every video is not just a lesson. It's a real conversation between you and the deepest part of yourself